Hey, this is Josh at Mass Gun Works. I'm working on a Remington 700 for a customer, doing a rebarrel and a bed job, and we did some Cerakote. Just wanted to take a minute and share this with you. So he had a stock Remington 700 and 308, and he wanted to do a custom build that's very, very similar to the I guess the sniper rifle that the military uses. So we rebarreled it with a heavy profile stainless barrel from Hart Barrels. They make great barrels. He ordered new stock, and I want to say he got this from McMillan. I believe who he got it from. But it's fiberglass, pillar bedded, and then we did some glass bedding up here on the recoil lock. So I just wanted to show that to you, and also share some quick tips and tricks, and give you guys an idea of some tools that you might want to look into purchasing depending on your capability within your shop. So some of the stuff you can make, you don't have to buy it. Some of the things I just bought because they're literally like $25 or $30, and it would cost me more in time than it would in money to buy it. So one of the first things, I believe this is called a Kleindorst bolt tool. So this is used for disassembling the bolt on the Remington 700. There's probably a lot of different ways to do it, but this is really handy. So you take this and you slip it over the end of the bolt, and it catches the cocking piece there, and then you just lever it down and you can unscrew the firing pin. Okay, makes disassembling this really, really easy. Like if you need to clean it, or if you're doing a blueprinting job. Another little thing I picked up here, and this works with, I believe this works with the Savages as well. But if you're gonna take the ejector button out, which is right there, it is a spring-loaded, pin retained, there's a pin that goes through here, rod. And what it does is it, lever that in there, it springs the spent casing out. So one thing that I've started doing, it makes my life a lot easier, is if I have a casing, this is a 308 case, that matches the bolt head that I'm using, I will put the ejector in, and then I will hook the extractor claw and use that leverage to hold that in place while I put that pin in. Now, they do make a tool or a jig that's specially made for that, but again, that costs, you know, between $25 and $50. This casing, I didn't have to pay for it. The customer gave it to me so I could headspace his rifle. So that was a freebie. The other thing you're going to want is a 1/16 pin punch, and you can use this pin punch as a slave pin to capture this button while you drive the pin in from the other side. That way things don't go flying into Never Never Land. Another piece of stuff that I've found pretty invaluable lately, this is just a piece of excuse me, aluminum round bar. It's 1.5 inches diameter, and you've probably seen one of my other videos. I use this to make a copy of the barrel that I was getting ready to put on. I chambered it with a reamer, cut my threads, my shoulder, everything. And that allowed me to make sure that my measurements were spot on by using a relatively inexpensive piece of easily machined metal. That, you know, like I said, that gave me a really inexpensive way to double check my measurements and to easily ream the chamber and get all that done. So aluminum's a good, versatile, soft metal to use, and you can machine it relatively quick. So this here is a mandrel, and this is from Brownells. And so with a piece of aluminum and this, we're kind of stepping into the I have a lathe world. This mandrel is meant to go in the bolt raceway. So let's say this is my receiver and this is the end with the threads. I'm going to stick this mandrel in this way, and I'm going to thread it into the receiver and get it, you know, relatively tight. It doesn't need to be like torqued down or anything, just good and seated. This shoulder right here seats up against the recoil lugs, okay, on the inside of the receiver. And then you have a center point here and a center point here. And what that allows you to do is put this receiver between centers, and you can put a dial indicator, I believe it'd be out here, and then you can tilt this and get it into measurement. And typically what I do, I'll put this in a 4-jaw chuck instead of running it with a lathe dog, and that allows me to tip it and get it into concentricity. If you run it between centers with a lathe dog, you shouldn't have to worry about dial indicating out here because it should be exactly centered. So what this does is it allows you to get a good square face on your receiver, which is part of blueprinting the action. You want to make sure that that receiver face is good and square. That way when your barrel locks up to it, it's also good and square to the axis of the bolt raceways. Okay, now there's a couple other things like, you know, machining the lug faces here completely flat that go into that, but this is a nice tool to have that makes life easy in relation to that. The next thing, and I made this one, but this is just a little plug, and it's probably better to make this out of aluminum than steel because it's a little easier to machine and quicker. But this goes in the back of the bolt. So this piece right here that has the cocking piece and the firing pin is threaded into the bolt body, and then this threads in there, and I can grip this in my lathe and use it to machine this surface and this surface true. There's a guy that's got a YouTube channel called High Speed Shooting Solutions, I think. He's out west. He does a really good job of building custom bolt actions, does a lot of work with Remington's 700 actions. So that's the thing there. My wife just walked in. She's such a hottie. I love her. So this right here is another tool you can get from Brownells. This is used for lapping the bolts. So you're going to screw this into your receiver. This plug, spring loaded, it is going to push on the bolt and give it rearward pressure, and you can put some lapping compound on here and work your bolt like this, and that will buff those surfaces until you're getting near 100% contact. So these two tools together, you're probably looking at I'd say $150, maybe $175. This one's about 25 bucks. This here tool, piece of metal, I got off eBay for $5. This is just a hunk of scrap 1018 I had laying around. I used to frequent a machine shop in Sheridan, Indiana a lot. They let me dig through their parts bin. And then this piece of brass is free. So the sum total of what I have here is under $250, and I'm set up to pretty well, you know, blueprint and bed actions on this. So with the action bedding, they have some neat stuff you can get. Basically what you're looking to do is put a releasing agent, like a grease or something that is not going to allow the compound to stick to the metal on the parts that you do not want stuck to the stock forever. So what I typically use, if I can find it, is, here it is, just this white lithium grease I had laying around from lubricating gears and stuff. And then I use, you're gonna laugh, JB Weld, okay? And you can, you know, go in the comments and tell me I'm crazy and out of my head for using JB Weld instead of Acroglass, but it's metal bond epoxy. And as far as I know, there are, you know, some variances in the grade, but epoxy is epoxy is epoxy. And it does the job really well. And instead of Acroglass, I can just run down to the hardware store, buy this stuff, and that saves my customer a little bit of money on the other end, and it's just as good. So when it comes to action bedding, you're going to want to have a decent vise and some vise pads so you can hold your rifle action and stock. I use a clamp to help keep everything clamped down. This clamp's probably 15 bucks at Lowe's. This vise, if I had to buy it new, you can get one for about $85. Harbor Freight, Lowe's, Menards, wherever you want. The other thing we use, Play-Doh. So we take the Play-Doh and we use it to build a dam to keep the bedding compound from going places we don't want it to go. So what I've done here is I've stuck this into the magazine area. That way none of that bedding compound leaches into the chamber magazine area past the front action screw. So this stuff is cheap, easy to find. There's different things you can get. Modeling clay is something I see a lot of guys use, but I just use Play-Doh. As a side note, there's a lot of neat historical facts about Play-Doh that you probably didn't know, like that it was initially used for wallpaper cleaner and became a kid's toy after Captain Kangaroo introduced it on a radio show. Anyways, history lesson done. I think that's all I got. If you found this helpful, please give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you have any suggestions or questions, feel free to comment or email. It's maskedgunworks@gmail.com. As I think of these little things, I may start doing like a series of little quick shop tips to help you guys out there that are still learning like I am. So, hope you have a good day, and I'll see you later.